What I try to do is just try to be still and understand that things come and go, emotions come and go. The important thing is to accept them all, and then you can choose to do with them what you want versus being controlled by emotion. Times I've seen players, even myself, when I was younger, being consumed by a particular fear to the point where you're saying, okay, nah, it's not good to feel fear. I shouldn't be nervous in a situation like nah. And it does nothing but grow versus stepping back and saying, yeah, I am nervous about the situation. Yeah, I am fearful about the situation. Well, what am I afraid of? And then you kind of unpack it. And then it gives you ability to look at it for really what it is, which is nothing more than your imagination running its course.
Anxiety is one of the most inconvenient things within your life. It creeps upon you like an uninvited guest at a party and completely makes your life an inconvenience. In a world where you have to socialize with friends, talk to people that you've never spoken to before, make opportunities for yourself, anxiety is definitely something that's gonna come into your life. Learning how to manage it, circulate through it, it can be quite daunting, and it can have you thinking, is anxiety normal? Or is there something actually wrong with me? I know for myself, I went to a job interview not too long ago. I walked in there thinking I was gonna smash it, but I completely fumbled. Now, whether that was down to lack of preparation or anxiety, it didn't matter to me. I just felt like a complete waste man, bro. So I had a thought, why don't I come back home and research the topic? And while I was researching, I thought it could make a pretty good video. So within this video, I have the answer. Is anxiety normal, and how much anxiety is normal, and how we can better cooperate within our anxiety. But before I go on, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll wait. Let's go. Take the idea of fight or flight, and although there aren't too many threats in our day and age, this gene has been passed down from generations and has definitely helped us survive as a species. Take our ancestors from the prehistoric times. They had to fend for themselves, get food for survival, get, materials for shelter, and through that, there was a lot of creatures roaming the world, there was tribes roaming, and their fight or flight is the difference between them becoming a cooked sandwich and becoming the king of the throne. They literally had a system built in place for them to know when danger is too much danger and danger is not too much danger. Essentially, I think in that sense anxiety can be amazing because he wants to be a cooked sandwich, and with people's prides and egos not being in the way, hopefully you can also refrain from being a cooked sandwich. I mean, think about it. Your ability to overthink strategically if a situation is too dangerous for you to go into or for you to opt out of is actually pretty remarkable. We're actually one of the only species that really has that. That level in intelligence is what has kept us alive for so long and made us breed for so long and become the most dominant species on the planet. But of course, that comes with its dilemmas. What if our anxiety becomes too much and keeps us from doing day-to-day activities? Take the character of personified anxiety in Inside Out 2, a new addition to the team, ready to be suited and booted and do anything for Riley's protection. But with that, we see that she goes a little bit too extreme. Instead of actually protecting Riley, she just creates imaginary images in Riley's head of everything that can go wrong within her hockey practice and hockey games. This level of overthinking is what makes Riley not able to play at all and gets her beat up about the whole situation afterwards, challenging her own self-esteem and self-image. I think this is a clear representation of how anxiety and overthinking within anxiety can really hold you. Instead of actually thinking and preparing in a more realistic fashion, you over-prepare. You are over-realistic and over-analyze the situation to the point where you can't even perform anymore. Now, don't get it twisted. Like I said, I agree with preparation. I agree with preparing yourself for situations. But sometimes you have to come to terms with the fact you can't control things. You can't control how other people perceive you, and you can't control how the world is gonna react to certain things that you do. All you can do is really try your best and be your best self. And that's what I think Riley should have really taken on in this situation, instead of letting her anxiety get the best of her and halt her from even playing and being a part of the team in any way. I think one thing I can highlight though is that anxiety wasn't really trying to damage Riley. She was just trying to prepare her for a realistic scenario that could have happened. But with that, we have to really take into account that the world is mysterious. We don't have a script of how things are going to play out ever. So all we can really do is be our best selves and turn up in our best fashion. Be our positive selves and really put our all into situations. You know, overthinking can just make you pessimistic. Another example of this is BoJack Horseman season 4 episode 6, where BoJack starts the episode by monologuing to himself about how he's a bad person.
You're a real stupid piece of shit. But I know I'm a piece of shit. That at least makes me better than all the pieces of shit who don't know they're pieces of shit.
Whether he should eat breakfast or not, which is actually quite crazy. That's crazy. Whether he should allow his family to go do his shopping in his car and then denying it, going to do the shopping for the family, and then while on the drive back thinking about whether his family like him or not. This level of anxiety is too much because, like I said, you can't control these things. You can't control how someone perceives you. And in these situations, you can really look at yourself as a bad person, thinking about, oh, did I do this right? Did I do this right? When really and truly, there isn't really a right way to do anything. All you can do is be true to yourself. And to be honest, we see this throughout this series with BoJack. He's always monologuing to himself about how he thinks he's a bad person or he's doing bad things. And I think that's why his anxiety goes up in a lot of situations. But what he's missing is self-reflection. Instead of actually self-reflecting and looking at himself for qualities that he could improve on, he just looks at the negatives and dwells into them too much to the point where every other situation piles up. His mind becomes a fog and he's not able to, be his best self. That's why self-reflection and self-acceptance is a good thing. If you think you have something that you need to develop within yourself, all you really need to do is look at it and improve on it. Accept it, accept the present moment, and keep moving forward. My rating of if this is a good level of anxiety is a minus 0.5. I don't know why 0.5 just sounded good to me. But you know what you should do? You should smash one like on that like button down below. I'm gonna wait again. Let's go. Another example I can give is take me in this video. If I was overthinking so much about how you guys were gonna perceive me, if you guys found, my videos enjoyable, if you guys found something I said quite accurate, I would never post a video. I would never even, be making this. I wouldn't be sitting here. The fact that I can distance myself from those thoughts, from that overthinking, is what allows me to create these videos and create content and be my authentic self. You have to master the art of not caring, but caring at the same time. I don't think that makes sense. Take our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, someone who balances between the life of a crime fighter and a normal average teenager, both with pressures in his life and things that he has to take into consideration. I mean, he has to protect his family, do his exams, fight mob bosses, fight literal villains that are gonna threaten the whole entire world. That's a lot of pressure. Not to mention he has Spidey sense, a literal amplified version of fight or flight. But imagine if he couldn't turn that Spidey sense off, a literal ringing noise within his head. He would be inefficient in battles and probably end up panicking just like Riley did. But no, he turns it off when he's in battle so he can focus on the mission at hand, knowing that there's stakes on the line. But instead of avoiding that pressure, he dives into it head on, not overthinking, and becoming the Spider-Man that the world needs him to be. You are the Spider-Man that the world needs to be, in fact. An even more and even less comparable example is Kobe Bryant, someone who has spoken about his anxiety on interviews, and someone who has been on the championship floor about 5 times, somewhere where anxiety is down to rise. And not to mention, he's also lost on the championship floor too. And that must have been quite, upsetting for him. But he didn't back away from that. He didn't, say, oh, I give up at basketball. I'm never going to the basketball floor again.
It doesn't bother you.
Well, you got to look at the reality of the situation. It's not about you, man. Like, okay, you feel embarrassed. You're not that important. You're walking around and it's embarrassing because you shot 5 air balls. Get over yourself, right? And then after that, it's okay, well, why did those air balls happen? Got it.
He took that as a means for self-reflection. He took that as a means to look at himself, look at what he needs to improve on, and build within that, using that anxiety and channeling it into his basketball game practices and his work. Kobe Bryant talks about how anxiety is something that makes us human rather than makes us alien. He talks about how the very fact that we have anxiety shows that we care, shows that we actually care about the thing that we're putting ourselves into, and we shouldn't really back away from that. We should put our all into it. And with putting our all into it, that anxiety lowers, learning from our mistakes, learning from our past failures, going into a new venture or going into the same venture from everything that you've learned and becoming more stronger through that. The main thing we can take away from this is it doesn't really matter who you are. Anxiety is definitely a thing that's going to go within your life. And knowing how to manage it within the right circumstance is very important, because it can be the very difference of you going into an opportunity or you backing away from an opportunity. The unhealthy side of anxiety within the situation would be if Kobe decided to pack his bags and never play again. That would have been something that he probably would have regretted in the future years as well. And with that, he would have actually given his anxiety more confidence. With Kobe Bryant and Spider-Man, they don't look at their anxiety as something that is just stamped within them and they have to deal with it and it has to, take over their lives. They look at it as a friend that they're trying to guide and something that they are trying to show that they have the capabilities to be the person that they need to be. No matter with the pressure, the circumstances, they are still going to show up and they are still going to become their best selves. Is probably what Adele would have said. A Grammy-nominated artist on numerous occasions, someone who has sold out shows and is known across the whole wide world, has spoken about how her anxiety has gotten the best of her and caused her to have panic attacks behind the dressing room of her shows.
When you're going through anxiety or when you're going through a heartache, or you feel like you're the only person that's going through it, but you also feel like you're the only person that exists. You're in those, when you're in those dire moments of despair or self-despair, you're not opening your eyes.
I think it's important to mention this because social media has created this image that celebrities are impenetrable, just robots that ship music to our doorstep and then, create some cool pictures on Instagram. But no, they are human beings just like us. They have their anxieties, their fears, their worries, their, nights of overthinking. But they don't just let that creep up to them. They look at that, stare it within the face, and keep going. I think when we look into that, it makes anxiety that much more comforting. Anxiety isn't something that you should be ashamed of, but it's something that you should be wary of. How are you dealing with it? And how are you cooperating with it, as it is something that is definitely a part of you and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. It's that level of self-acceptance and that readiness to do better each time with situations, being comfortable and not scaring away from it, that can actually surprise you and kill the anxiety through and through. But what do I mean by self-acceptance, and why do we actually think that anxiety isn't a normal thing within society? Well, I did some research and found that a study actually portrays this quite well. A study with 800 college students found that doom scrolling and looking at other people's lives through social media can make you question your own life and make you worry about the things that you're doing, make you worry about your purpose, make you worry if you're on the right track or not, and cause this over pumped up feeling of worriness. And I can vouch for this, to be honest. I've done my fair bit of doom scrolling and I've taken a break from social media, and through that I found that taking a step back and really just focusing on your life makes the anxiety go away so much easier, because you're not filled up by opinions of other people. You're not filled by the opinions of people that you don't even know, people that are just trying to rage bait, people that are just trying to get clicks and views. You are filled with your own opinions, your own morale, and your own values. So if you're someone struggling with anxiety, maybe stop the TikTok, stop the Instagram, and just touch grass a little bit. Yeah, that might work. Another study also found that exposure therapy is an amazing thing to kill anxiety. And it's kind of what I've been talking about this whole video. So, listen up, because I'm about to land, I'm about to cook. Study found that your memories and emotions tie together significantly. So if you've had an experience with a girl that you went on a date with, for example, and you ended up making a fool of yourself, cracking a dad joke or spilling, something on your clothes or whatever. I don't know, I'm thinking of the most cartoonish type of thing ever. Having a bad experience is what keeps the anxiety flowing, if not corrected. See, the study didn't stop there. They conducted actual observational experiments where they put the participants in situations that they once feared, but made them more safe and controlled experiences. Now, you might be saying, okay, but that defeats the whole purpose of anxiety because the world is uncontrollable or whatever. No, it's making sure that the fear goes down to a neutral standpoint. So when you do go into a situation again, you can be calm, tranquil, and fine. And it also makes you understand that if one situation was bad, it doesn't always mean the next one is going to be bad. The anxiety doesn't have to flow onto the next situation. Sometimes that preparation and over-analyticalness, if that's a word, can actually kill you and make you avoid situations. So any experience that you had, whether it was a sales pitch that you made to someone and you completely fumbled, go into an interview, don't let that be the determining factor of if you are worth it or not, or if you can actually manage those types of situations. Like Kobe Bryant, like Spider-Man, like Adele, they all kept going into the situations head on. I've noticed that I've been talking about Spider-Man, but he's a fictional character. But it's still real though, to be honest. But yeah, you get the point. The conclusion is anxiety is normal. You are not an alien. Yes, you can relax, you can go to bed. My bed's right there. You're not invited, but I don't know why I even said that, to be honest. But you're invited. You're invited. You can come. Don't look at yourself so much as an alien. Don't look at yourself so much as there's something wrong with me, or question your identity. Slip-ups happen, and situations don't always go to plan. You can trip up sometimes, but letting that really determine how you're gonna function in the next scenario, function in the next situation that you go into, is where the thoughts come in and where prolonged anxiety can really affect you. Anxiety isn't the problem, it's more so how you react to it and how you move on from it. Are you going to tell your anxiety, yes, you're right, you know what, yep. Or are you going to tell your anxiety, you know what, anxiety, move over, I'm taking control and we're going through the situation head on? That's the type of energy you really need to have, and it's what's made me comfortable now. I'm telling you, I was on the bus back from my interview feeling so down, feeling like, who am I? Should I even make YouTube videos? Should I even, do anything in life? Should I just become homeless or something? But no, I didn't let those thoughts really, fester up so much. Because of my support system too. Make sure you have friends around you that really care about you and, swerve you into the right direction. If not, channels like me that you can subscribe to right now that always remind you of the most substantial types of morale values that you should imply into your life to make sure that you are an A-class citizen. But without further ado, this is going to be me, Men's TV, back with 900 Thoughts, and I'm out, man. Peace.